The night was quiet in the Nevada desert. Danny Cole sat on an old chair outside his small repair shop. He was drinking coffee and looking at the stars. The sky was clear and full of tiny lights. Danny was 34 years old. He had lived in this small town his whole life. His hands were rough from years of fixing cars, trucks, and anything else that people brought to him. Danny was good at fixing things. It was the only thing he knew how to do well. His shop was small and old, but people came from miles away because they knew Danny could fix what others could not. He had a gift for understanding machines. He could listen to an engine and know exactly what was wrong with it. The night was peaceful. Then everything changed. A sound came from the sky. It was not like anything Danny had ever heard before. It was loud and strange, like metal being torn apart. He stood up and looked toward the east. Something was falling from the sky. It was on fire, leaving a trail of smoke and light behind it. The thing hit the ground about 2 miles from his shop. The impact shook the earth under his feet. Danny dropped his coffee cup. His heart was beating fast. He should have called someone. He should have called the police or the military. But Danny did not think about that. He grabbed his flashlight and his old toolbox. He ran to his truck and started driving toward the crash site. The desert road was rough and dark. Danny drove as fast as he could. His headlights cut through the night. Dust flew up behind his truck. He could see smoke rising in the distance, darker than the night sky. After 20 minutes, he found it. There was a crater in the desert floor. It was big, maybe 50 feet wide. And in the middle of the crater was something that Danny could not explain. It was a ship, but it was not like any airplane or helicopter he had ever seen. The metal was dark purple, almost black. The shape was smooth and curved, like something from a dream. Smoke was rising from several places on the hull. Danny stopped his truck and got out. He walked slowly toward the crater. His flashlight shook in his hand. He was scared, but he kept walking. He had to know what this thing was. The ship was damaged badly. He could see holes in the metal where something had hit it. There were burn marks everywhere. As he got closer, he saw that a door on the side was open. Light was coming from inside, weak and flickering. Danny climbed down into the crater. His boots sank into the hot sand. He reached the open door and looked inside. The inside of the ship was like nothing he had ever imagined. The walls were covered with strange symbols and lights. Some of the lights were blinking. Others were dead. Smoke filled the air, and there was a smell like burning metal. And then he saw her. She was lying on the floor near what looked like a control panel. She was not human. Danny knew that right away. Her skin was pale silver, almost like the moon. Her hair was white and long, spread around her head like a fan. She was wearing armor that seemed to be made of some kind of living metal. It moved slightly as she breathed. She was hurt. Danny could see blood on the floor around her. But the blood was not red. It was silver blue, like nothing he had ever seen. He took a step forward. The floor creaked under his weight. Her eyes opened. Those eyes were violet, deep and dark, like the evening sky. They were beautiful and frightening at the same time. She looked at him, and Danny felt like she was looking into his soul. She spoke. The words were strange and musical, but he could not understand them. She tried to sit up, but she was too weak. She fell back to the floor. Danny held up his hands to show he meant no harm. He did not know if she could understand him, but he spoke anyway. "I am not going to hurt you," he said slowly. "I want to help." She touched something on her neck. It was a small device attached to her armor. She pressed it, and suddenly her words became clear. "Human," she said. Her voice was weak, but still carried power. "You will leave this place. You do not belong here." Danny looked around the ship. He saw the sparking wires. He saw the flickering lights. He saw the smoke that was getting thicker. He had been fixing machines his whole life. He knew what a dying engine looked like. This whole ship was dying. "Ma'am," he said, keeping his voice calm, "I do not know who you are. I do not know where you come from. But I can see that your ship is falling apart. And I can see that you are hurt badly. I am a mechanic. I fix things. It is what I do. So you can either let me help, or we can both stand here and watch everything break down." She stared at him. Her violet eyes were hard to read. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Then she laughed. It was a small, weak laugh, but it was real. She was actually laughing at him. "You speak to me as if I am not the Empress of the Valorian Dominion," she said. "I rule 27 star systems. Billions of beings bow before me. And you, a primitive creature from a primitive world, dare to give me orders?" Danny shrugged. He had no idea what the Valorian Dominion was. He did not care about star systems or empires. "I just know a broken engine when I see one," he said. "And right now, your broken engine is about to catch fire. So what is it going to be?" The Empress looked at him for another long moment. The lights flickered around them. Something in the back of the ship exploded with a small pop. More smoke filled the air. "Very well, human," she said finally. "Show me what your kind can do." Danny set down his toolbox and opened it. He took out his flashlight, his pliers, and his roll of electrical tape. He looked at the alien technology around him. He had no idea how any of it worked, but that had never stopped him before. He started to work. Danny crawled through the tight spaces of the alien ship. His flashlight was held between his teeth. His hands were covered with strange liquids that he could not name. Some were thick like oil. Others were thin like water, but glowed faintly in the dark. The Empress watched him from where she sat. She had managed to move herself to a seat near the main controls. Her wounds were still bleeding, but she had wrapped them with materials from a small box she called a medical kit. The silver blue blood had stopped flowing so fast now. "Your name," she said. "What is it?" Danny pulled himself out from under a panel. His face was dirty and tired. "Danny," he said. "Danny Cole." "I am Solarix Vorn," she said. "Empress of the Valorian Dominion. My people have traveled between stars for 10,000 years. We were building great cities when your ancestors were living in caves." Danny wiped his hands on his shirt. "That is nice," he said. "But right now, your 10,000-year-old ship has a power line that is completely burned out. Do you have any spare parts?" Solarix looked at him with surprise. No one had ever spoken to her this way. No one had ever treated her like she was just another customer with a broken machine. "There is a storage area in the back," she said. "But I do not know if it has what you need. The damage is severe. My ship was attacked by enemy forces before I crashed here." Danny nodded and went to the back of the ship. He found the storage area and looked through it. Most of the parts were strange and alien, but some of them looked familiar in their basic shapes. A tube was still a tube. A wire was still a wire. Power had to flow from one place to another, no matter what planet you came from. He grabbed what he thought might work and went back to the damaged area. "Who attacked you?" he asked while he worked. He was trying to connect two broken wires using copper wire from his own truck. It should not have worked on alien technology. But Danny had learned long ago that machines wanted to work. They wanted to run. You just had to help them find a way. "The Keth hegemony," Solarix said. Her voice was bitter. "They are conquerors. They move from world to world, taking everything and destroying what they cannot take. They have crushed 100 civilizations. Now they want mine. And they shot down the Empress herself? They sent assassins. My personal guard fought them off, but my ship was damaged in the battle. I had to run. I had to find a place to land and make repairs." She paused. "I did not expect to land on a world so far from the main trade routes. Your planet is not even on most star maps." Danny laughed. "Yeah, we are kind of out of the way, I guess." He finished connecting the wires. A panel near Solarix suddenly lit up. She looked at it with wide eyes. "You fixed it," she said. "That panel controls life support. It has been dead since the crash." "One down," Danny said. "About 50 more to go." He worked through the night. Every hour, he found new problems. A cooling system that had cracked. A fuel line that was leaking. Navigation sensors that were completely destroyed. Each problem seemed impossible at first. But Danny did not give up. He used everything he had. He cut metal from his truck to patch holes. He used tape and glue and wire. He made tools from other tools when his own were not right for the job. Solarix asked him questions while he worked. She wanted to know about Earth. She wanted to know about humans. Danny told her about his life. He told her about his small town and his small shop. He told her about his sister Katie, who lived far away in Oregon and called him every Sunday. He told her about the cars he had fixed and the people he had helped. "You enjoy this work," Solarix said. It was not a question. Danny stopped working and thought about it. "Yeah," he said. "I do. There is something good about taking something broken and making it work again. It feels right, you know? Like you are fighting against the universe trying to break everything down." "Among my people, machines fix themselves," Solarix said. "We have automated systems for everything. No Valorian would lower themselves to physical labor. It is considered beneath us." "That sounds lonely," Danny said. Solarix was quiet for a moment. "Perhaps it is," she said softly. Danny went back to work. The hours passed. His body was tired. His muscles hurt. But he kept going. Every time he fixed something, another light turned on. Every time a system came back to life. Solarix looked at him with more surprise. By the time the sun started to rise, the ship was humming with power. It was not perfect. Many systems were still damaged. But the engines worked. The life support worked. The shields worked, at least partially. Danny climbed out from under the last panel. He was covered in dirt and strange alien fluids. His clothes were ruined. His hands were cut and bruised. But he was smiling. "I think she will fly," he said. Solarix stood up slowly. She was still weak, but she was stronger than before. She walked to the main control panel and touched it. Symbols appeared in the air in front of her. She read them quickly. 83% of primary systems are online," she said. Her voice was full of wonder. "That should be impossible. The damage was too severe. No repair team could have done this in such a short time." Danny shrugged. "I just did what I could with what I had." Solarix turned to look at him. Her violet eyes were different now. The coldness was gone. In its place was something else. Respect, maybe. Or something deeper. "You have done the impossible, Danny Cole," she said. "You have saved the Empress of the Valorian Dominion with nothing but primitive tools and human stubbornness." "I had some good wire," Danny said. "And your ship wanted to work. I could feel it. Machines want to run. They just need someone to help them." Solarix walked toward him. She was tall, taller than him by several inches. Her silver skin seemed to glow in the morning light that was coming through the damaged hull. "I have ruled for 200 years, she said. "I have seen wonders that your mind cannot imagine. I have met beings of great power and great wisdom. But I have never met anyone like you, Danny Cole. You are simple and strange and completely without fear." "I was scared," Danny admitted. "I am still scared. But fear does not fix engines." so I tried not to think about it. Solaric smiled. It was the first real smile he had seen from her. It changed her whole face. She was beautiful before, in a cold and distant way. But when she smiled, she was something else entirely. She was warm. She was real. "You are a remarkable creature," she said. "Your whole species is remarkable. You have no technology, no power, no place in the galaxy. And yet you stand here, covered in dirt and blood, having saved an Empress through nothing but will and skill." Danny did not know what to say to that. So he just nodded. "I must go now," Solaric said. "I must return to my empire. There is a war coming, and I must lead my people through it." "The Keth," Danny said. "Yes, they will not stop until one of us is destroyed. Either they will fall, or we will. There is no middle ground with them." Danny looked at the ship around him. He looked at the repairs he had made. He looked at the impossible thing he had done. "Can you beat them?" he asked. Solaric straightened her back. Her eyes burned with cold fire. "I am Solarix Vorn," she said. "My ancestors united a dying civilization and built an empire that spans the stars. My mother broke the siege of Kalen Prime with 3 ships against 1,000. I was born for war." Danny believed her. The sun was rising over the Nevada desert. The sky was painted in colors of orange and pink and gold. It was beautiful, but Danny was too tired to really see it. He had been awake all night. His body felt heavy. His mind was slowed out, but he did not want to leave. Not yet. Solarix walked out of her ship and stood beside him. She had changed her armor. The new armor was clean and undamaged. It fit her body like a second skin. She looked like a warrior now, not a wounded survivor. She looked like an Empress dot in her hands. She held something small. It was a crystal of some kind, about the size of an egg. It glowed with a soft blue light. "This is for you," she said. She held it out to him. Danny took it carefully. The crystal was warm in his hands. He could feel a gentle pulse inside it, like a heartbeat. "What is it?" he asked. "A communicator," Solaric said. "It is connected directly to me. No matter where I am in the galaxy, if you activate this device, I will hear you." Danny looked at the crystal. He could see tiny lights moving inside it, like stars in a small universe. "Why are you giving this to me?" Solarix looked at him with her violet eyes. "Because you saved my life, Danny Cole, and because your world is now in danger. The Keth may have tracked my ship here. They may come looking for me. If they find your planet instead of me, they will not be kind." Danny felt a cold feeling in his chest. What would they do? "The Keth do not leave survivors," Solaric said simply. "They take what is useful and destroy the rest. Your people have no defenses against them. Your weapons are too primitive. Your ships cannot even leave your own planet. So what can I do with this?" Danny held up the crystal. "If you see strange ships in your sky, if you hear reports of attacks, if anything happens that seems like the Keth, you activate the communicator. You call for me, and I will come." Danny put the crystal in his pocket. It felt strange there, heavy with meaning. "You will come," he repeated. "Even in the middle of a war?" "Even then." Solarix took a step closer to him. She was very close now. He could see the tiny details of her face. Her skin was smooth like polished silver. Her eyes had flecks of gold in them that he had not noticed before. "I pay my debts, Danny Cole. Always." Danny nodded. He understood debts. In his town, when someone helped you, you helped them back. It was simple. "There is something else," Solaric said. Her voice was different now, softer, more personal. "Something I want you to know." She reached out and touched his face. Her fingers were cool against his skin. He felt a shiver run through his body. "You taught me something tonight," she said. "Something I had forgotten." My people have grown too comfortable. We rely on our machines to do everything. We have forgotten what it means to struggle, to work with our hands, to solve problems with nothing but our minds and our will. She looked at him with something in her eyes that he could not name. You reminded me of what we used to be, she continued. Before we became emperors and empresses. Before we conquered the stars. We were builders once. Makers. Fixers. We created things with our own hands and took pride in our work. Danny did not know what to say. He was just a mechanic from a small town. He was not used to speeches about empires and civilizations. I do not know what to say to that, he admitted. Solaric smiled. You do not need to say anything. Just know that you have changed something in me. And that is not something that happens often. She stepped back. The moment passed. But Danny knew he would remember it for the rest of his life. I must go now, Solaric said. The longer I stay, the greater the chance that the Keth will find this location. And I have a war to fight. Danny nodded. He walked with her back to the ship. The engines were humming smoothly now. The repairs he had made were holding Dot at the door of the ship. Solaric stopped and turned to face him one last time. I want you to understand something, she said. This is not goodbye. This is only a pause. Danny looked at her. What do you mean? Solaric stepped closer to him. She was so close now that he could feel the warmth of her body despite her cool skin. She leaned in and spoke softly, her lips almost touching his ear. I will return for you, human, she whispered. When the war is won, when my empire is safe, I will come back to this little world. I will find you, and then we shall see what else you can teach me. She pulled back and looked into his eyes. She was smiling again, that warm smile that changed her whole face. Take care of yourself, Danny Cole. Do not get killed by something stupid before I return. That would make me very angry. Danny laughed. He could not help it. Here was an alien empress, ruler of 27 star systems, telling him not to do something stupid. I will try, he said. Good. She touched his face one more time. A gentle brush of her fingers against his cheek. Then she turned and walked into her ship. The door closed behind her. Danny stepped back from the crater. He walked up the slope until he was standing on flat ground again. He watched the ship as it started to rise. The engines glowed with purple light. The ship lifted slowly at first, then faster. It rose into the morning sky, growing smaller and smaller. Danny watched it until it was just a point of light. Then it was gone, shooting away faster than anything he had ever seen. He stood alone in the desert. The sun was warm on his face. The wind blew sand across his boots. In his pocket, the crystal communicator pulsed with soft blue light. Danny walked back to his truck. He was tired, more tired than he had ever been in his life. But he was also feeling something else. Something he could not quite name. Hope, maybe, or wonder. He drove back to his shop and went inside. He looked at his tools, his workbench, his old chair where he had been sitting when the whole thing started. Everything looked the same, but everything was different now. He knew that there were aliens in the sky. He knew that there were empires fighting wars among the stars. He knew that Earth was just a small world on the edge of something much bigger than anyone had ever. Imagine Dot, and he knew that an Empress had promised to return for him. Danny put the crystal communicator in a safe place under his bed. Then he took a shower, changed his clothes, and went back to work. He had cars to fix. Life had to go on. But every night before he went to sleep, he looked at the stars. And he wondered which one of them was her. The days turned into weeks. The weeks turned into months. Danny kept working, kept living, kept waiting. He told no one about what had happened. Who would believe him? He had no proof except a glowing crystal and memories that seemed more like dreams every day. But the crystal was real. And the memories were real. And somewhere out there, among the billions of stars, an Empress was fighting a war that Danny could only hope that she would win, and that she would keep her promise. 3 years passed. Danny Cole went back to his normal life, or tried to. He fixed cars and trucks and tractors. He helped his sister Katie when she needed someone to talk to. He watched the news every night, looking for any sign that something strange was happening in the sky. Sometimes he wondered if he had imagined the whole thing. Maybe he had fallen asleep in his chair that night and dreamed about alien empresses and crashed spaceships. Maybe the stress of running his shop alone had finally gotten to him. But then he would look at the crystal communicator hidden under his bed. He would see its soft blue glow. He would feel its gentle pulse in his hand. And he would know that it had been real. The world changed in small ways during those 3 years. Scientists started talking about strange energy signals coming from deep space. Astronomers noticed things moving near the edge of the solar system that they could not explain. Government said nothing was wrong. Experts said there was no proof of anything unusual. Danny knew better. He knew that somewhere far away, a war was being fought. He knew that the Empress Solarix Vorn was leading her fleets against the Keth hegemony. He knew that the outcome of that war would affect every living thing in the galaxy, including the people of Earth. But there was nothing he could do about it. So he kept working. He kept waiting. His reputation as a mechanic grew during those years. People came from farther and farther away to have him work on their vehicles. They said he could fix anything. They said he had magic hands. Danny just smiled and kept working. He never told anyone his secret. Katie visited him once a year. She always asked why he seemed different, why he looked at the sky so often, why he seemed to be waiting for something. Danny always told her he was fine, just tired, just getting older. She did not believe him, but she did not push. The message came on a Tuesday. Danny was working on an old truck with a bad transmission. He was covered in oil and grease. The radio was playing old country songs. It was a normal day, just like 1,000 other days. Then the crystal under his bed started to glow, brighter than it ever had before. Danny felt it somehow. He dropped his tools and ran into his small house behind the shop. He pulled the crystal out from its hiding place. It was blazing with blue light, so bright that it hurt his eyes. Then an image appeared in the air above it. It was Solarix, but she looked different than he remembered. She was wearing heavy battle armor, dark and scarred from combat. Her silver skin was marked with healing wounds. Her white hair was pulled back tight. Her violet eyes burned with a fire that Danny had never seen before. "Danny Cole," she said. Her voice filled his small room. "Can you hear me?" "I hear you," Danny said. His voice was shaking. "Solarix, is that really you?" "It is me." She smiled, but it was a tired smile. The smile of someone who had been fighting for too long. "The war is ending, Danny. The Keth are broken. Their fleets have been destroyed. Their homeworld has surrendered. The Valorian Dominion is victorious." Danny let out a breath he did not know he had been holding. He felt tears in his eyes. He was not sure why. "That is good," he said. "That is really good. But the cost was high." Solarix's smile faded. "Many worlds are in ruins. Many of my people are dead. I have lost friends, commanders, ships that cannot be replaced. This war has changed everything." Danny did not know what to say. He had never been in a war. He could not imagine what she had been through. "I am sorry," he said. It seemed weak, but it was all he had. "Do not be sorry. We won. That is what matters." Solarix straightened her back. The fire returned to her eyes. "And now I have news for you. News for your whole world." The image around her changed. Danny could see space now, black and filled with stars. and he could see ships. Hundreds of ships. Maybe thousands. They were moving in formation, coming closer to a blue and green planet that Danny recognized immediately. Earth. The Valorian Dominion has arrived at your world, Solaric said. But we do not come as conquerors. We come as friends. Danny stared at the image. He could see the ships in orbit around Earth. They were beautiful and terrifying. Some were sleek and fast, obviously warships. Others were larger, heavier, with no weapons visible. I do not understand, Danny said. During the war, I thought about you often, Solaric said. I thought about what you did that night in the desert. I thought about how you fixed my ship with nothing but primitive tools and human stubbornness. I thought about what you said, about machines wanting to work, about fighting against the universe trying to break everything down. She looked directly at him through the hologram. Even across the vast distance of space, he could feel her gaze. You taught me something. Danny Cole, you reminded me of what my people used to be. Builders, makers, workers. We forgot those things when we became too powerful, too comfortable. We let machines do everything for us. We stopped struggling. We stopped growing. Danny listened. His heart was beating fast. The war showed me that I was right to think about these things, Solaric continued. The Cath were stronger than they should have been because we were weaker than we should have been. Too many of my commanders had never faced real hardship. Too many of my people had never worked with their hands. They did not know how to adapt, how to improvise, how to keep fighting when everything went wrong. She smiled again, and this time it was the warm smile that Danny remembered. But I remembered you. I remembered a human mechanic who fixed an Empress's ship with copper wire and electrical tape. And I thought, maybe we can learn from these people. Maybe they can teach us what we have forgotten. The image changed again. Danny could see the ships opening, releasing smaller craft that were descending toward Earth. Not weapons. Not soldiers. Something else. I am offering your world an alliance, Solaric said. The Valorian Dominion formally recognizes humanity as a member of the galactic community. We will share our technology with you, carefully and slowly, so that you can grow and learn rather than simply receive. We will protect you while you're young and vulnerable. And in return, we ask only one thing. What? Danny asked. Teach us, Solaric said. Teach us to work with our hands again. Teach us to struggle, to build, to fix things that are broken. Teach us to be what we used to be. Danny stared at the hologram. He was just a mechanic from a small town in Nevada. He was nobody. How could he teach an empire anything? But then he thought about the night in the desert. He thought about crawling through an alien ship with nothing but a flashlight and a toolbox. He thought about making the impossible possible because he refused to give up. Maybe he had something to teach after all. There is one more thing, Solaric said. Her voice was different now, softer, more personal, like it had been on that last morning 3 years ago. I told you I would return for you, she said. I am a woman of my word. My ship is entering your atmosphere right now. I will be landing near your location in approximately 10 minutes. Danny's heart stopped. I have a question to ask you, Danny Cole. A question that will change your life forever. I hope you will consider it carefully. The hologram faded. The crystal stopped glowing. Danny stood in his small house, covered in oil and grease, holding an alien communicator, trying to understand what was happening. Then he heard it. A sound from outside. A sound like engines, but deeper and smoother than any engine he had ever heard. He ran outside. A ship was descending from the sky. It was purple and black and beautiful. It was the same ship he had fixed 3 years ago, but it looked different now. Repaired. Improved. Perfect. It landed in the empty lot behind his shop, sending up a cloud of dust and sand. A door opened, and Solarix Vorn, Empress of the Valorian Dominion, stepped out onto the soil of Earth. She was even more beautiful than he remembered, and she was walking toward him. Solarix walked across the dusty ground toward Danny. She moved like water, smooth and graceful. Her armor caught the afternoon sun and glowed with inner light. Her white hair flowed behind her like a banner. Danny stood frozen in place. He was still wearing his dirty work clothes. He still had oil on his hands and grease on his face. He probably smelled like engine fluid, but Solarix did not seem to care. She stopped in front of him. They stood face to face, just like they had 3 years ago in the desert. But everything was different now. She was not wounded and desperate. She was powerful and victorious. And she had come back for him, just as she had promised. "Hello, Danny Cole," she said. "Hello," Danny managed to say. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Solarix looked at him with her violet eyes. Then she looked around at his shop, at his old truck, at the small house where he lived. She saw the simple life he had built. She saw who he really was. "You have not changed," she said. "You are still the same man who crawled through my ship with a flashlight in his teeth." "I do not know how to be anyone else," Danny said. "Good. That is exactly why I am here." Solarix took a deep breath. "I have a question for you. But first, I need to tell you something." She looked up at the sky, where the distant shapes of her fleet could still be seen in orbit. "The war changed me," she said. "I have seen things that will haunt me forever. I have given orders that killed thousands. I have watched worlds burn. I have done what I had to do to protect my people, but it has cost me something. A part of myself that I cannot get back." Danny listened. He did not interrupt. "But through all of it, I kept thinking about that night in the desert," Solarix continued. "I kept thinking about a human mechanic who treated me like a regular person with a broken machine. No fear, no worship, just simple honesty and hard work." She looked back at him. "You have no idea how rare that is," she said. "Everyone in my empire sees me as the Empress first. They bow, they flatter, they tell me what they think I want to hear. But you, Danny Cole, you just saw a problem that needed fixing, and you fixed it." Danny shrugged. "I did not know you were an Empress when I started." "Exactly." Solarix smiled. "And even after you knew, you did not change. You still talk to me like I was just another person. Do you know how valuable that is? Do you know how lonely it is to be treated like a symbol instead of a being?" Danny thought about his own life. He thought about the quiet nights alone in his shop. He thought about the phone calls with Katie that were never quite long enough. He thought about the emptiness that came from having no one who really understood him. "Maybe I do," he said quietly. Solarix nodded. "I thought you might." She reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were cool and smooth against his rough, calloused skin. "I am offering you a choice," she said. "You can stay here on Earth. You can keep running your shop, fixing machines, living your quiet life. No one will force you to do anything. The alliance between our peoples will happen either way. You have already earned that reward for your world. Or," Danny asked, "or you can come with me." Solarix's eyes were bright. "I need someone I can trust. Someone who sees me as a person and not a crown. Someone who can fix things that are broken, not just machines, but ideas, systems, ways of thinking. I need someone to help me rebuild my empire into something better than it was before." Danny stared at her. He could not believe what he was hearing. "You want me to come with you into space?" "I want you to come with me everywhere," Solarix said. "To see wonders you cannot imagine. To meet beings from 1,000 worlds. To fix things that have never been fixed before. And yes, to be by my side as I rule." She squeezed his hand. "I am not just asking you to be a mechanic among the stars, Danny Cole. I am asking you to be my partner, my advisor, my friend. Perhaps, in time, something more. Danny's mind was spinning. He thought about everything he would be leaving behind. His shop, his town, his sister, his whole life on Earth. But then he thought about everything he would be gaining. The stars, the adventure, the chance to make a difference on a scale he could never imagine. And Solarix herself, the most remarkable being he had ever met. Can I come back? He asked. To visit, I mean. To see my sister. To make sure Earth is okay. As often as you want, Solarix said. Your world is part of the Dominion's protection now. You can return whenever you wish. I would never take you away from your people forever. Danny looked at his shop one last time. He saw the old tools, the stained floor, the faded sign that read, Cole's Repairs. He had spent his whole life in this place. It was everything he knew, but it was not everything he could be. He looked back at Solarix. He saw the hope in her eyes. He saw the loneliness that matched his own. He saw a future that was bigger and stranger and more wonderful than anything he had ever dreamed. Give me one day, he said. I need to say goodbye to some people. I need to close up the shop. I need to call my sister and explain that I will not be around for a while. Solarix smiled. It was the brightest smile he had ever seen on her face. One day, she agreed. I will wait. The next 24 hours passed like a dream. Danny called Katie and told her he had an opportunity to travel. He could not tell her the whole truth, not yet. But he told her he loved her and that he would stay in touch. She cried a little and made him promise to be careful. He closed up his shop and left, the keys with a neighbor who had always admired his work. He told the man to take care of the place, that he would be back someday. He packed a single bag with clothes and personal items. And he packed his old toolbox, the same one he had carried into the desert 3 years ago. It was battered and worn, but it had saved an Empress once. It might save something else in the future. When the sun rose the next morning, Danny walked out of his house for the last time. Solarix was waiting by her ship, just as she had promised. He climbed aboard. The inside of the ship looked different now, cleaner and more advanced, but he could still see some of his old repairs in the corners. She had kept them. She had not replaced them with newer technology. You kept my patches, he said. They are part of the ship's history now, Solarix said. Part of my history. I would never remove them. The door closed behind them. The engines hummed to life. Danny felt the ship rise from the ground, felt the pull of gravity shifting as they climbed higher and higher through the window. He watched Earth grow smaller below him. He could see his town, his shop, the desert where everything had started. He watched until it was just a tiny spot on a vast blue marble dot, and then he watched the stars come out. They were beautiful, more beautiful than anything he had ever seen. Billions of lights in the endless darkness, each one a sun with worlds of its own. Solarix stood beside him, watching the same view. Are you scared? She asked. Danny thought about it honestly. He was leaving everything he had ever known. He was going into a universe full of wonders and dangers he could not imagine. He had no idea what would happen next. A little, he admitted. Good, Solarix said. A little fear keeps you sharp. Reminds you that things matter. She took his hand again. But you are not alone, Danny Cole. You will never be alone again. I promise you that. Danny looked at her. He looked at the stars. He thought about all the broken things out there in the universe, waiting to be fixed. All right, he said. Let us get to work. Solarix smiled. She leaned in and kissed him softly on the cheek. Welcome to the Valorian Dominion, she said. I think you are going to fit in perfectly. The ship jumped to faster than light speed. The stars stretched into lines of light. And Danny Cole, a mechanic from Nevada, began the greatest adventure of his life. beside him. The Empress of 27 star systems held his hand and smiled, because she had finally found someone who could fix anything, including her. The end.